The people of Oba always prayed and made great sacrifices, hoping that Azuka was going to give birth to a son, as Azuka's reign was very wonderful, and they really hoped that his son was going to take over and become better off than him. One day, when Oluchi entered the room, she perceived the strong perfume, and she knew that this perfume was always strong whenever she was pregnant. And she asked herself, was this a sign of being pregnant or something? So she quickly invited her mother. Her mom was a great midwife. Her mom told her that something was fishy in the palace. That the moment she entered the palace, that there was something, a strange spirit she felt. Though nobody understood what she was saying, Oluchi did not understand what her mother said. Neither did King Azuka understand what she was trying to say. But she told her daughter, you see, this particular pregnancy is going to tarry, and you're going to give birth on your due day. But the reason why this pregnancy is going to last is because there is a daughter involved. And Oluchi was confused. How do you know I'm pregnant? And how do you even know the sex of the child? Her mother told her, there is something hidden in this palace and no eyes can see. But I can feel it deep down. Someone has plotted something in the palace. And that thing is against a son. And Oluchi quickly asked her mother, if you know what it is, can you direct us to the place? Her mother said, I wish I knew. If I knew, I would have removed it the moment I entered the palace. But one thing I'm sure is that you have to guide this pregnancy. Guide it with your last breath. Guide your pregnancy. Let no one know you're pregnant. Let nobody serve your food. Even when I leave, be very careful. These words made Oluchi heavy in heart. She couldn't just understand the words of her mother, but at the same time, she wasn't ready to risk this particular pregnancy, as her mother had told her that this particular pregnancy was going to stay because she was carrying a girl. Oluchi tried her possible best to avoid the crowd. Even her maids, she sent most of them away. She did not trust anyone anymore. She tried to do everything herself, trying to guide herself during this particular baby. And Oluchi carried the baby to Fulton. And 3 days to where she was supposed to deliver, her mother came back to the palace. And when her mom had come, her mom sent out all the palace maids away and all the palace midwives, insisting that she alone was going to give birth to her daughter's child. And when it was time for Oluchi to give birth, Oluchi gave birth to 3 kids, 2 girls and a son. And the moment the boy came forth, they noticed that the boy was bleeding from his nose immediately. Her mom told her, do not be scared. I came prepared for this moment. And the mom quickly rubbed some herbs on the son, and the bleeding ceased a little. And she told her daughter, I am going to take him with me, as his presence in this palace will cause chaos. Not just that, people don't want him to be alive. I'm going to take him with me, and I'm going to go to a faraway land to protect your son. Oluchi, my love, you know I've always known you to be a special one. This son is going to take after you. He's going to be able to see far and beyond. He's going to be greater than both you and I, and we need to protect him by all means, as the evil eyes are there and they want to kill him. The moment I leave this palace, I will hide him inside a basket and send in the midwives. So they are going to only announce that you gave birth to 2 girls. Make sure no one knows that you gave birth to a son apart from you and I. I'll be sending you a message every time I can to know how your son is. Keep this as your greatest secret till the day it is time for him to show forth his face. Make sure no one knows, else they will look for him wherever he is till he is dead. Though Oluchi was trembling on the bed, but she accepted everything her mom had told her, and her mom left. And immediately, King Azuka was called forth to welcome his two beautiful daughters. King Azuka was so grateful. Be it a girl or a boy, he just needed a child in the palace. He was so glad. He hugged his wife greatly and thanked her for bringing forth kids into the palace. Everything that had happened that day, from the birth of the kids, never ever left Oluchi's heart. And she didn't know who was haunting her son. Neither did she know what her mother meant. But she knew deep down that she had a son that she had to protect. And the only way not to protect him was to speak. So she kept her secret like her mom had told her. The people of Oba rejoiced with King Azuka. They were excited, they were glad. They brought various gifts for the princesses. Meanwhile, Aina was excited, as not just that Aina had a total of 4 children, but they were all boys, solid boys. And he remembered his father's words that the moment Azuka does not give birth to his son was going to ascend the throne as a king. King Azuka was a bit bothered, as his wife was not able to give birth to any other child after the set of triplets she had given birth to. Though he was told that the last one died, but no one knew the sex of the child. He knew deep down that he was going to lose the throne to Aina's sons. But he prepared himself for that day. He groomed his daughters, not just to be like ladies, but to be like men. Not because he wanted them to fight for the throne, but because he wanted them to know that in life, nothing good comes easy. His daughters, Chizu and Shoma, were very strong, loving, beautiful, and they behaved alike. You could barely tell one from the other. It was just their parents that could. Azuka always prepared himself for his reign to end, knowing fully well that his wife had not and could not give birth to another child. Though the people of Oba greatly prayed and wished that he was going to give birth to another. And as the days went by, Azuka had made an announcement stating that the day he resigned, the first son of Aina was going to ascend the throne as the king. The people of Oba accepted what he had said, knowing fully well that Azuka was a very, very smart person, and they felt that the gods were guiding him aright. If he said the first son of Aina was going to be the king, who were they to say otherwise? As Azuka had reigned greatly, and they knew that his judgments was always good. Aina was excited, preparing his son to be the king. He was grateful, and he told himself, finally, I am going to also have a reason to smile. My father, Uzoma, will be so excited that my son was able to ascend the throne. And when Azuka became old, like he expected, he left the king's palace and left everything in the king's palace. He carried his beautiful wife and daughter and went to her mother's place, where they were going to start life all afresh. After Aina's son, Obi, had ascended the throne, Aina was excited, full of life, and everybody could see the true Aina, as Aina had always hidden other in marks. Obi's reign wasn't as nice as that of Azuka. It was painful. The people of Oba suffered greatly, but when things became worse was when Obi's wife could not give birth to any son, as every son she carries would die the day he was born. Obi was pained. He was angry, kept on demanding that the priests should speak up and tell him the reason why. And at some point, even his father kept on pointing accusing fingers on King Azuka. That probably King Azuka had placed a charm so that no one will ascend the throne after Obi. So Azuka was brought forth to the palace and he was beaten mercilessly, as Obi had instructed the palace guard to beat him till he confessed. Azuka did not know what was happening, as that same thing happened to him, but no one believed him. Obi kept on instructing the palace guard to torture him every day till he confessed. And one certain day, when Obi felt that joy was coming to his family, his wife just told him she was pregnant for another son. And lo and behold, she lost the son again. It was at this point that Obi decided to go ask the great oracle what was happening. And when he got there, he was met with the shock of his life, as the great oracle had told him that his great father Osoma had planted a charm there so that Azuka was never ever going to have a son so that he could ascend the throne. What his grandfather failed to understand was that that same charm had the right to kill every firstborn of the king. He had planted it before he died, and no one knew. Obi was pained. Obi cried and cried. And they asked the great one what was the price to remove it. And the great one told him the only way the charm can be removed was through a pure blood of the throne. And they quickly asked, what do you mean by a pure blood of the throne? The great one said, it is only if King Azuka has a son, it's just his son that can bring out the charm. Obi quickly asked the great one, does that mean I won't be able to have a child of my own? But the great one told him, you can. You will only have girls, as any son you give birth to would die. It was at this point that Obi went to the prison house and freed Azuka. Azuka returned back to his beloved wife and twin daughter, though he did not know what was going on, and his wife had not yet told him. And the great wise one told him, you have to go and apologize to Azuka, as he is the only key to your misery. Obi told the great one, but Azuka does not have a son. The great one said, I see far beyond. Azuka's blood liveth and reigneth in a strange land. He is the only one that can undo all that had been done. Obi quickly journeyed to the land where Azuka and his family were, and pleaded with Azuka for days to please permit his son to come and remove the curse that was holding them. Azuka looked at him and told him, I have no son to my name. I have just two daughters, Shizuma and Choma. And it was at this point that his wife Oluchi spoke up and told him what had happened and how her mother had carried their only son and fled the palace, stating that there was something that was going to prevent him from leaving if he was in the palace. Azuka was heartbroken and he was shocked. How come you never told me? And she told him, if I had told you, you would have asked that he was brought back and he wouldn't have lived to see this day. Are you not seeing the life of Obi? He has no son because of what his grandfather had done. Azuka was shocked. So Uzoma could go to this length in order to make his family sit on the throne. Ina was embarrassed, shocked and pained, as he never knew the tricks of his father. He felt that getting married to Oluidu was all that mattered to his father. But he never knew that his father went as far as burying a charm that he wasn't even alive to remove, and the charm was affecting so many generations, as anyone who ascends the throne must lose all his sons. And it was at this point Oluchi went to bring her son, Ebuka. Ebuka was summoned by the Great One, and Ebuka was introduced to the people of Oba. After Ebuka was introduced to the people of Oba, Ebuka, being a wise one and a great seer, could see where the charm was hidden in the palace. The moment he entered the palace, he approached the particular position where Uzoma had buried the charm. He dug it out and threw it in a river where no one could take a hold of it. And after which, the people of Oba pleaded that Ebuka became the king, as he was the rightful heir to the throne. Ebuka did not want to become the king, stating that the blood on the throne was too many, pleading. But everybody in Oba said he was the only one that could appease those blood and take over. Not just that Ebuka became the king, Eyina and all his generation were banished from the land of Oba. As his father had done atrocity, they were sent out from the land of Oba. Azuka's honor was restored back to him, and he returned back to the palace, living in peace and harmony with his family. Ebuka's reign was far better than that of his generations, as Ebuka was a name to be remembered. Ebuka ruled the people greatly, far better off than his father and his grandfather. Thank you very much for listening to the story of the day. We've come to the end of this story. This is just a very short story trying to make us understand that whatsoever we do has a price. Uzoma thought that plotting a charm in the palace was going to kill all Azuka's children. But he never knew that that nature was going to occur one day. One day he was going to die. And what was going to happen to those charms? Who was going to remove it for him, as he never told his son? That same charm killed his own generation. We should remove hands from evil. Evildoers will always go crying. Thank you very much for watching the story of the day. We remain your favorite storyteller, Zika. Please do not forget to support your home girl by subscribing, liking, turning on the notification bell to get more interesting stories like this. Till we meet again in our next. Bye for now.